I scrolled hopelessly through every job site, frustration creasing my brow. I exhaled. Unbelievable how defeated job searches left me. There were nearly no opportunities. None worth considering when you have a bachelor's degree in finance and accounting at least. Daniel kissed my cheek, bringing me back to the world around me. I'd almost forgotten I was at the neighborhood bistro waiting to have lunch with him.
You okay?
He asked, reading the aggravation on my face. I rolled my eyes inwardly. Wrong time to have upset myself. Daniel and I were very fresh. I hated that it seemed I was always in a mood. I hoped he didn't think it was just my personality. He probably did since he was job hunting too, but never expressed my level of frustration. The thought made me even more bothered. We had lunch, and I tried my hardest to smile and be chirpy for a change.
How's the job hunt going?
Girl, I begin sorely. It's not.
Not even something entry level. You know, Sam, degree or no, sometimes you gotta work your way up.
Already considered. Still nothing. We went silent on the phone. But enough about that. What's going on with you? Not tired of your great job yet? I'm between gigs right now, you know. I'd be happy to take over from you. Laura laughed then the praise started. Heights Brokerage Ltd., one of the more prestigious brokerage firms around, and Laura's bread, butter, and breath. She was so proud of her job, and with good reason. She was doing tremendously well. She paid off her student loan, moved into a new apartment, closer to work, and was aiming for her dream luxury vehicle. She was such a girl boss, and I loathed that we weren't girl bossing together. We've come a far ways too, the very best of friends.
Hey,
Laura went excitedly.
I could talk to Mrs. White, put in a good word for you. Who knows, we've gone through every school together. Maybe we can work together too.
It's the best few words I'd heard in my entire life. Well, maybe just that job hunting period of my life. Oh my God, yes. Oh, why didn't you think of this sooner? I teased. We chatted casually for another half hour, me very affected by the newfound hope that had sprung to life.
You got the job.
What?
No interviews, no trial run, nothing. Mr. Brown himself, the CEO, took one look at your resume, asked you a few questions about our friendship, and that was it. You start tomorrow. See you at work, accountant of Heights Brokerage Ltd.
It was no joke, as unreal as it seemed. There I stood at reception waiting for a Mrs. White for my orientation.
Good morning, Samantha.
She greeted zestily. Was working here such a joy? I thought, immediately recognizing the same enthusiasm in her as Laura.
Come with me.
And she led me through an impressive building, all the while informing me of their expectations.
We need someone who understands our mission, Samantha, who puts loyalty first and treats the job not just like a mere job, but like their very own project, with passion and dedication like that Laura Bent. I promise you, if you do, Heights Brokerage, Mr. Brown and myself will treat you royally.
She emphasized. I didn't need much more convincing. The position was attractive. It didn't take much to see. I was happy, ready, and eager to show my loyalty. After all, it was one of my core values. It was a week into my new job, and already the facade was broken. The Heights brokerage team was not as amicable as Laura and Mrs. White made me think they'd be. Sure, everyone was upbeat and driven, but they were also frightfully competitive and aloof. It seemed there was a every man for himself culture that I was not prepped for. Daniel and I dined together that evening. The environment's just kinda cutthroat, you know.
I guess I'll see for myself.
I eyed him quizzically.
I start there next week.
Wow, I exclaimed, torn between a growing concern and my elation at Daniel's news. The brokerage's financial records were astounding. There was a stupendous amount of revenue coming in very short periods. Retracing transaction trails and analyzing them against supporting documents, I came to the conclusion that Heights Brokerage Ltd. Was carrying out illegal activities.
Just sort out the taxes, Samantha, keep everything smooth and under wraps, and they'll reward you a pretty encouraging incentive.
Incentive. Laura, you're benefiting from this?
It's the most lucrative pump and dump scheme I've ever seen. The process is so seamless, I forget it's not legit.
I stared at her incredulously. Laura,
Samantha,
she interrupted.
this is none of our business. We're just employees. Do your job and turn a blind eye to everything else. I have to get back to my booth. Those cold calls won't make themselves.
She spoke, but all I heard was turn a blind eye. To fraud that they were involving me in. This was the loyalty that they were talking about, loyalty like that Laura Bent I recalled. But in this case, it was against my moral code, as much as it was ruining my best friend's prospects of wealth. But wealth through dishonesty, she was bigger than that.
I see what you mean with that every man for himself idea. Still, it's understandable. The possibilities of growth is high here. No wonder there's so much competition. You just have to apply yourself.
Daniel advised, but I didn't need advising. I'm quitting. This brokerage is not as prestigious as its reputation says. They're fraudsters and I'm reporting them, I said firmly, leaving no room for input. Laura was livid. I hadn't heard from her since Heights Brokerage was fined heavily and suffered disrepute. They'd fired her because of me and it broke our friendship. Daniel's confident that she'll come around one day, but I knew Laura. If she wasn't anything else, she was malicious. She'd never forgive me destroying her perfect world. Daniel and I opened an auditing firm. Together, slowly and steadily, we built our clientele, but more importantly, we did so lawfully.